Medieval castles. Why were castles built? Castles were built in medieval times by lords and knights to defend the land, to provide a place to live, and to provide shelter for people who lived around them. There were many different types of castles. Today we will look at motte and bailey castles. In the picture you see a typical example of a motte and bailey castle. Now I'm going to look at some of the features of these castles. Motte and bailey castles were the first castles. The motte was a mound of earth. On top of the motte there was a timber fence or a wall, and inside the timber fence was the keep. This was the main part of the castle. The flat area below the motte was called the bailey, and the bailey was surrounded by an earthen bank. This provided defence against enemies. A timber fence was built around the bank, which also helped with defence. The bank was surrounded by a moat, which was a dry or wet trench, and this could be crossed by the drawbridge. Next, we're going to look at stone castles. Stone castles replaced motte and bailey castles. They were built in a similar style. However, they were much stronger, but they were also much more difficult and expensive to build, so only powerful kings and lords lived in them. They were built in similar way to motte and bailey castles, but had many more defensive features. Now we'll take a look at some of these features. A moat, which we saw with motte and bailey castles, was a trench around the castle, usually filled with water. On the top of the castles, they built battlements. These provided a place for soldiers to shoot arrows and spears at enemies. The stone castles, like the motte and bailey castles, also had a drawbridge. This allowed access over the moat and could be lowered or pulled up by chains. Stone castles also had towers or turrets, which were built along the wall to allow soldiers to shoot arrows at potential attackers and provide defence. A portcullis was an iron grille that was raised to allow people to enter or leave.